Hello, hello, and hello. This is a fun tutorial on how to make a t-shirt for, whoever you want to make a t-shirt for. And I don't usually do that many t-shirts. I just do a lot of dresses and tops, blouses. But for this, I took my husband's, one of his favorite t-shirts and used that as a template. So I have this very cool fabric, this Star Wars fabric, and I'm placing it in a double fold. So that means there's 2 layers, and the fold of the t-shirt is aligned up against the fold of, the 2 folds with these 4 layers of the fabric. So I'm just marking around it approximately 2 centimeters seam allowance, and I'm trying to follow the curve of the sleeve seam, and that's a little bit hard to do. But once you've done it a couple of times, you easily get the hang of it. So don't worry about it, just give it a go. And that's the first part of the t-shirt done. So cutting that out first, and I am aware that now we have 2 pieces for the t-shirt. We have both the front and the back piece, but both of them have the high kind of back neck height. So we need to change that front opening. We'll do that in a moment. So first of all, just cutting these bits out. Yes, all 2 pieces at once, so that's really good. And then I'm just gonna make the front part of the t-shirt, so folding up one part and putting that away, and then just marking approximately where the front opening is and adding a couple of centimeters seam allowance and then cutting that away. So I don't have a lot of fabric left over here, but I'm just making a little thin line here that I can use for the tube for the neck opening, and then it's about making the sleeves. So for this, I'm trying to see how I can get the fabric to fit to make the sleeves, because I don't have that much left. So I'm just trying to see, how can I do it? And I've got 1 piece that has a fold, and I've got 2 pieces that I can just kind of find from the little remnants there. And that seems to be okay. Like, luckily this fabric has a lot of stretch and give on kind of all angles, so that does still work. And yes. So I'm just gonna make a template first with one of them. So I'm trying to place that piece of fabric on top of the sleeve, and luckily, just with how I randomly cut it, that curve actually fits quite well. And then again, I'm just seeing what the t-shirt looks like underneath and adding that 1 centimeter of seam allowance all the way around, and then it's ready to cut. So I've got 1 piece left. I just need to make 3 more to have both sleeves. To have fabric for both sleeves. So if you have enough fabric, you don't have to do it in that way, but that's just because it was kind of what I had to work with, and I just wanted to make a t-shirt with sleeves on. And of course, also be careful that you have the fabric facing the right way, so you make the 4 pieces for the sleeves, but that you actually make them so you can make the sleeves in the right way, so you don't have one sleeve where you have to face the inside of the fabric out to make it fit. But yes, if you do have enough fabric, then of course you can just make 2 pieces and with the fold on the shoulder seam. And this, this idea to make some clothes from clothes you already have is from my style hacking book, and you can just see a little bit of it here. And it's a very cool book that allows you to sew and make without any paper patterns, but just actually from tracing things you already have. So now it's time to get into the sewing of this t-shirt. And I've got the 2 big pieces first, the front piece and the back piece, and I'm starting with the 2 shoulder seams, and I'm doing it on my serger because that is so quick and great, and I love it. So that was 1 shoulder seam done, and doing the other one, just aligning the edges of the fabric and stitching and cutting at the same time. So now my 2 pieces are stitched together. There is the hole for the neck, for the head. And now I'm just going to stitch 2 of the sleeve pieces together, so I make 1 sleeve piece, what you wouldn't normally have if you had more fabric to work with. So I'm finding the middle of that sleeve piece and then aligning the curves up against each other. So I'm starting under the arm where the 2 pieces meet there, and then gently following the curves from both those pieces, both the sleeve piece and the body piece, the curve from the arm opening, and then it's attached. And then basically, you can see that it actually looks like a sleeve. And then I just start from the sleeve opening where the edges meet, and then stitch all the way down towards the bottom, and then we have one side of the t-shirt done and closed and ready to put your arm through and everything. So it's that exact same thing that you then do for the other piece. You just make the other sleeve piece, stitch them up from those two sides or those two pieces as if it just had a fold. And again, you then find that seam and attach it to the shoulder seam and make sure the other edges of the fabric are aligned so the two curves gently can follow each other without too much pulling on the fabric. So be careful that you don't do that. So that's the sleeve piece attached to the body piece and ready to stitch that whole side together, starting again from the opening of the sleeve and down towards the bottom. Again, be careful that you're not pulling at the fabric so you kind of get one side longer than the other. So then it's the neck opening, and I cut off this kind of little piece, this narrow piece that I'm going to make a tube with. And this tube is it always needs to be a little bit smaller than the opening itself. And I always make them wider than I need them because then I can always make them smaller afterwards. And I'm putting them on with these Wonder Clips. I'm kind of attaching them at the center of the front, center of the back, and at the shoulder seam, the side seam there. And with these Wonder Clips, yeah, it's just super easy, and you don't get injured by suddenly getting a pin in your hand. So that tube is kind of wide. As I said, I always make it wider than I need it to, because then afterwards I can cut more off and make the sleeve opening bigger that way. And I also have it, kind of protruding a bit more than the opening itself. But that's just, then there is more fabric to kind of hold it in place, because sometimes if you have a very narrow piece of fabric and you're trying to hold it, and it can sometimes get a little bit uneven because it's just too hard to hold it kind of evenly all the way around. So here I would kind of think that would be a good idea to just try it on and see how it looks. And saying that I did that, then I just noticed that I wanted it to be a little bit bigger, a little bit more open. So that's why I'm just cutting kind of approximately 0.5 centimeter off by giving it another round on the serger, just making it a little bit more open and making that neck opening tube a little bit narrower. And now it's just simply time to hem it. And you could use a zigzag stitch or a serger stitch just to make sure the ends don't fray. Sorry about my hair, but because this is this jersey fabric, it doesn't really fray that much. So I'm just simply making a zigzag stitch, folding it up kind of a couple of centimeters towards the back, how much seam allowance I gave it, and then just stitching it in place with that zigzag stitch, and then that's fine. That fabric won't fray. And doing the same for the sleeves, apart from the fact that I'm not folding it very much towards the back because I didn't have that much fabric to make the sleeves. So they aren't going to be very long. So I'm just only folding them up maybe a little bit less than 1 centimeter towards the back. And yeah, because I don't want the sleeves to be way too short. Yes, and soon you'll be done with looking at my hair, and really good thing. And that's it. That's the t-shirt done. So that's how you can trace your own t-shirt with some nice fabric and make somebody very happy. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.